There is a moment in an old story where a man is asked a simple question: "What is your name?" And the answer comes back wrong. Not a name, a number. "My name is Legion," the voice says, "for we are many. One mouth, one body standing in front of you, and out of it a multitude, answering as if a whole crowd lived behind a single face." Hold that image, because it is the most useful thing you will think about this week. Now set it next to a piece of arithmetic so quiet that almost no one says it out loud. A vote only means something when the voters are separate. 10 people who reason their way to the same answer on their own, that is evidence. The same answer shouted 10 times by one person wearing 10 coats, that is noise with good production values. Agreement carries weight only in proportion to the independence of the people agreeing. Strip the independence out, and the agreement keeps its volume but loses every ounce of its meaning. We forget this constantly because from the inside the two sound identical. Now hold both against this week. A new economy is being built in open rooms, its rules drafted in the daylight, its standards still wet ink, strangers crediting strangers, everyone nodding along. And in those rooms, a question is getting harder to answer than it should be. How many people are actually here? Because in a place where identity is cheap and a single will can speak through many mouths, everyone agrees can mean 1,000 independent minds reach the same truth, or it can mean one actor in many coats talking to itself and calling the echo a consensus. From the inside, these two rooms sound exactly the same. That is the whole danger. The chorus is loud either way. The nodding is real either way. Nothing screams. You stand in the room, you hear agreement on every side, and you feel the warm certainty that comes from being surrounded, and you cannot tell by listening whether you are surrounded by a crowd or by a legion. This is the oldest trick there is, and it is about to be run at machine scale, because the thing that made manufactured consensus expensive was always the bodies. You needed real people, and real people are few and slow and reluctant. Take that constraint away, and one will can field a multitude at the speed of thought. The crowd becomes summonable, and a summonable crowd is not a crowd at all. It is a single voice that learned to sound like many. So what do you do, standing in a room you can't audit by ear? You stop listening to the volume. You stop counting the nods. Counting heads tells you nothing when one hand wears every glove, and no amount of agreement, however loud, however unanimous, is the same thing as truth. Agreement was only ever a proxy, a cheap stand-in we used because checking the thing directly was hard. The moment the proxy can be faked at scale, you have to go back to the expensive thing it was standing in for. And the expensive thing is this: a claim checked against a reference that needs no one's endorsement. Not many say so. Not the room agrees. A record that any single person can recompute alone in the dark without trusting the crowd or its loudest member or you. Something true whether one voice backs it or 10,000 do, because its truth was never a function of how many mouths repeated it. That is, enforcement precedes execution applied to belief itself. You do not establish what is real by waiting for the room to fill and tallying the agreement. You build your standing on the thing that can be checked independently, and you build it before the room fills, before the chorus arrives, before you are tempted to mistake being surrounded for being right. The independent reference is laid down first. The voices come second, and they are decoration. The man possessed could not say his own name. He had been filled with a multitude until there was no single thing left to point to. Don't let your sense of what's true be filled the same way. Don't count the voices. Find the one that can be checked alone. This is not commentary. It is category formation. Enforcement precedes execution. Build accordingly.